Okay, everyone, we are going to be covering something that this is the first time, honestly, that I have covered anything to do with Blake Lively and with Justin Baldoni, and that has been for a specific reason. The specific reason with not covering anything to do with the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation is because it's very easy to cover this content and harbor a hostile community that just kind of turns into a woman-hating community. I specifically made the choice not to cover this when I look back on my coverage of talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And truthfully, one of the biggest regrets that I have is covering that. I don't think it was appropriate for me to be covering it. This is just my personal opinion. And I think it's very easy to, regardless of where you stand, what your opinion is, harbor a community that just kind of hates and belittles women, specifically whenever the topic is so serious, when we're dealing with really intense court cases. Like, we're talking about court cases here. So I made the decision not to cover Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni in any way, right? So much so that I remember at my Dallas show, we did a little Q&A and someone took the mic and they were like, Adam, what's your opinion on Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni? And I immediately answered and said, I don't want to cover it and I don't want to give my opinion on it because I feel that it's inappropriate. And fundamentally, we are talking about that this started with Blake Lively talking about, sexual harassment, towards Justin Baldoni, right? And again, regardless of where you stand with it, who you believe, who you don't believe, I just feel that the chatter and the debates and the entire community is dedicated towards pro Blake Lively or pro Justin Baldoni or anti Blake Lively or anti Justin Baldoni are incredibly unproductive and incredibly weird. Truthfully, it's just something that I really can't get behind. I saw this tweet that I thought was really interesting. And this is no shade to this creator. I don't know who this is. I actually did think it was Katie Morton at the start. And someone had tweeted and said, this type of content is honestly like the alt-right pipeline for women. And it was this creator. Again, I don't know who this is. I truthfully thought it was Katie Morton whenever I saw it. And it's like these daily, multiple times a day updates on like Blake Lively. And it's very like anti-Blake Lively, anti-Ryan Reynolds, like pro-Justin Baldoni, content. And again, the communities that it festers is like in a majority case, like women hating women. And I just feel like other people can do with their platforms what they want. But I specifically in my head made a decision to, after the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard of it all, not ever allow my community to do that again. Like, if you guys want to do that, you can do it. And clearly there are channels that are dedicated and blowing. Like, there are channels the same way with Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, that have managed to cover this on such a daily basis that they have made an entire, livelihood out of the fact that, Blake Lively initially, what started this, talked about a hostile work environment, sexual harassment, and retaliation from Justin Baldoni with, the movie It Ends With Us. And so I just don't want to be a part of that, which is why I haven't covered it, truthfully. So a lot of people are going to be like, why haven't you covered it? That's it, honestly. Now, the reason that I wanted to cover it today is because I find there to be something really interesting going on in social media. Now, again, this has been a very big topic for a very long time. And whenever things go to discovery, a lot of private things get released. And what we're seeing is that Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's texts have been released in these unsealed documents to the public. And these are to show that Justin Baldoni is like a victim, ? And a lot of people have been attacking Taylor Swift and attacking Blake Lively for these texts. Now, I haven't gone through all of the texts. Today, we will be going through all of the texts. I went through a couple of them, and the outrage was kind of shocking to me, of Blake Lively and Taylor Swift having these back and forths, because they were texting a lot more tame than things I've said about people. And I was like, oh my God, people are acting like these people are the most vicious, villainous people based on these texts. And I'm like, what does that make me? What does that make you? I'm sure you've said worse as well. But also, one thing I wanted to say as well was this began because Blake Lively spoke about, sexual harassment, hostile work environment, retaliation from Justin Baldoni. If my friend had said that someone did all those things to them, I would be, from what I saw Taylor texting, much harsher. Much harsher. So we're going to go through it all. And again, because I haven't covered the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation yet, I am going to do a little bit of a TLDR on it, and I mean TLDR. It is going to be to the basics because, truthfully, it has been happening for a while. I'm sure a lot of you have seen situations on it, but if you haven't, I will give you enough context today that we can start from the discovery of the Taylor Swift, Blake Lively text and go from there. And I also think that there's something interesting because from my observing of this, it has seemed that Justin Baldoni has wanted Taylor Swift to be as involved in this as possible. You know why? Because then we're talking about it. People are talking about it, using names, using images. And I'm sure that they just wanted these texts to come out so that people like us will be talking about, look at Taylor Swift's private texts. What's going on here has seemed very clear to me for a while. And truthfully, I've been very opinionated on this, which is why I've taken a step back on this. But anyways, before that, I do have to say that again, it is 30% off my Patreon using the code 2026Mucker. You will immediately get access to me reacting to Shane's movie, me reacting to the Shane Dawson documentary of him making the movie. I love that I'm holding this pen. I feel like I'm in a courtroom. Me reacting to the Ruby Frankie documentary, me reacting to Trisha's Broadway show, me reacting to Escape at Night season 1, 2, 3, and 4, and also Beast Games season 1. And my London show is getting shockingly close on March 21st. It's a Saturday. I just went and saw the venue yesterday, and it is a club. It's actually a club. I'm so excited. Tickets are on sale down below. All right, okay. So here is your TLDR as of me wanting to tell you as condensed as possible, but with as much information as possible, okay? So the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni legal situation started in late 2024 after Blake Lively, it started with Blake Lively, publicly accused Baldoni, who was, from the movie It Ends With Us, her co-star and director, of fostering a hostile work environment, sexual harassment, and retaliation during production. The retaliation being because she did those things. She had spoken out. Now, in response, that was when Justin Baldoni, as you probably know, these defamation lawsuits that have been going around, Baldoni countersued Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, her husband, their publicist, and I think even the New York Times in early 2025, claiming defamation, that big word again, and a coordinated effort to wreck his reputation. At one point, I think he was seeking like $400 million. Now, I don't know why people don't acknowledge this. People that I even watch to this day talk about that defamation lawsuit. Guys, a federal judge threw out Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. It was thrown out. This lawsuit is thrown out. The only thing as of 2026 that currently stands is Blake Lively's original lawsuit. Justin Baldoni's defamation lawsuit was thrown out. A federal judge threw that out, okay? Calling parts of it legally baseless, and basically that it was actually protecting Blake Lively's original claims, which is crazy. So again, the only thing that we're currently talking about, and when we talk about these Taylor Swift texts, it is only Blake's original lawsuit that is currently standing with a trial for later this year, I think it is. Now, Justin Baldoni's team is trying to get Blake Lively's lawsuit dismissed. So again, we are not dealing with two people suing each other. We are not dealing with Justin Baldoni winning or trying to win a defamation lawsuit. We are dealing with Blake Lively's original claims, which started Justin Baldoni suing her for defamation, which was then thrown out. We're dealing with Blake Lively's lawsuit going ahead and Justin Baldoni's team trying to dismiss it, okay? I think it's important to note that because a lot of the coverage I see acts like they're both on similar standing suing each other. That's not what's happening here, and I just want to clarify that, okay? I just want to clarify that. So basically, he's arguing that her lawsuit needs to be thrown out because everything she's describing was creative context and not misconduct. And so now Taylor Swift has been gotten involved because it seems from my understanding that Justin Baldoni's team is trying to just make this as messy as possible. And obviously bringing in the biggest star of all time, Taylor Swift, is a way of doing that. And because of that, they're now dragging in unsealed texts, which is what we're going to be going through today. and basically just like huge debates and distracting. Taylor Swift's text with Blake Lively now being released has caused a debate, which kind of distracts from the original lawsuit. And that's exactly, in my opinion, what Justin Baldoni and his team need. So again, it's important to note that the only thing standing right now is Blake Lively's to Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni's big attack, I guess, towards Blake Lively was already thrown out. It was already thrown out. And also, because I haven't covered this before, there was always one thing that I was always itching to talk about. And here's this tweet as well. Justin Baldoni admitting in front of witnesses that he forced himself onto women. The driver was so creeped out, he wanted to do a background check in Baldoni. I really quickly want to read these I'm really enjoying this pen. I really want to quickly read these before we get into the Taylor Blake Lively text, okay? Did you hear Mr. Baldoni discuss anything else during that car ride? And then the answer, yes. Can you tell us what you heard him discuss during that car ride? The answer, he was discussing his sexual relations with women. As we were driving, he stated that, and it took my focus off driving because I can't forget this, his sexual relations with women. How he was forced on, and he forced himself on women. To me, it was very out of the ordinary to meet someone and talk like that in a vehicle. That's why it caught my attention. Basically, he kept talking about his sexual relations, and again, like I'm repeating myself, I believe, but he would force himself on women. If they said no, this, that, he would revert back. It was just disturbing. His place of living in Jersey City as we were driving. I remember that. He, for some reason, had us pause. And then when we got to the production office, which was down the road from that area, I pulled over, let everyone out, and I stated to Blake, I feel very uncomfortable. Something is not right. I would like to do a background check on him or something. And later to learn that he was the producer on the production of the movie. How did you learn that? Basically, when I brought up his name, everyone was like, he's a part of the movie, Well, I shouldn't say it that way. Like Sophia and Blake said, that's the production guy, the movie. So I've always wanted to say that I just don't think that people talk about this enough. Like, this is crazy. Like, I understand if people want to be pro or anti someone. I understand it. People also, find a sense of community weirdly in it as well, which again is why I haven't covered this, because I don't want that to happen here, and I won't be allowing that to happen here. Mind you, by the way, in the comment section, that will not be allowed to happen down below. It's incredibly unproductive, and if you want to do it on channels that fucking post 10 anti-Blake Lively videos a day, I'm sure that's very productive. Always a woman, by the way. Or fucking Perez Hilton probably as well, but Jesus Christ, bars on the fucking floor. Now, let's get to the text, okay? I don't understand how Taylor got involved in all of this. So, Taylor is involved essentially because she is Blake Lively's friend and she is a mega star. That's it. Baldoni's team want Taylor's text with Blake Lively to be revealed, talking about Justin Baldoni, as they would because they're good friends, because it will get headlines and it'll be a distraction. But you know what's so crazy? Just one thing before we get into this. You know what was confirmed with these texts? It is a distraction. You know what was confirmed with these texts, which just made me giggle? In a part of the text, Taylor Swift says something to the effect of tiny violin. And in her song Cancelled, she also says tiny violin, which means that it is now confirmed that good thing I like my friends cancelled is about Blake Lively. We have got now confirmation that I like 'em dressed in Gucci and in Scandal is about Blake Lively. People have been constantly saying, this is about Blake Lively, this is about Blake Lively. And my response was always, no way it is, because these lyrics are so fucking stupid that this is probably about no one. Y'all win. Wow, Blake has great hair. All right, let's get into the text. Good thing I like Blake cancelled. All right. So here we go. So we're going to go through. This has all of them linked in order here of what has been released. Oh, that is not what I want to do. Hold on. Let me pull these up in a way that is best seen for your viewing. for your viewing. Good thing I like my friends canceled. I like them good. I've been waiting to know about this. Well, thank you for waiting. I appreciate that. All right, I'm just pulling all of these up properly. Oh, wait, here we go. Find it. Okay, so let's start with these, okay? So, B, Blake Lively, T, Taylor, okay? So, Blake said, hey, just checking. This is the one I have read, and it made me quite sad. Hey, just checking in. I have no reason to ask, but I don't know. I've been feeling like I should. Is everything okay? I felt like a bad friend lately because I was such a sad sack who only talked about my own shit for months. You were generous to not only be the key person there for me during all of that, but also to let me off the hook for being so in it. But I still have a feeling something may not be right. I told Ryan, he said to just ask you, but I felt stupid and like it sounded needy and awkward for everyone, especially because I can't explain why I have this feeling. And you know I have toxic masculinity, so I can't be needy. But also, I do want to know everything is good, so I'm asking. I always want the opportunity to be a better friend if there's something better, if there's something I unintentionally did. I know how busy and taxed you are, physically, emotionally, practically, so I don't expect anything more from you ever. I just wanted to make sure that all is good. So that is what Blake Lively had texted Taylor on the 4th of December. Isn't that right? 4th of December, I think, 2024. I don't know. Your American dates are back to forth. Now, these texts made me feel so sad because it's like, it's just the fact that these get released to the public because someone like decides in the court. I've always thought discovery is very, very, very strange. Now, Taylor Swift responds and says, no, you're not wrong. But it's also not a big deal. I think I'm just exhausted in every aspect of my life, and in recent months had been feeling a little bit of a shift in the way you talk to me. Yes, there's been a lot of the Justin stuff, but I've been through things like this before, and I know how all-consuming it is. It's more like, and I feel really bad saying anything about this because your texts have been so nice in their intent, but your last few, it's felt like I was reading a mass corporate email sent to 200 employees. You said the word we like 18 times, and it feels awful to be in any way critical of any way you process what you've been through, but I just kind of miss my funny, dark, normal speaking friend who talks to me as herself, not like a plural unit. When it's a grip I'm hearing from, I feel distant from you, even more than we are geographically. And then some things were redacted. And I know you're feeling attacked from all sides for ridiculous reasons, so you're feeling like you have to overly explain things or be overly nice or whatever, but it's me. That's what's caused the distance. And then the rest was redacted. And you don't need to apologize. Just come back to me, please. Which is very sad. And I'm sure all of us have had moments in like our life that we've related like that. And you know, all this shows to me as well is like, okay, these people have clear communication, you know? So then Blake texted back and says, Dear valued customer, thank you for your feedback. We at headquarters are reviewing your concerns and we'll get back to you in a timely manner. For real though, you're right. I literally deleted the awful thing I was going to end that bit with because I become digitally paranoid. I don't know if you've experienced that with phone calls. She's trolling here. I don't know if you experienced that with phone calls after what happened to you, but after the thousands of text messages that weren't meant for me that I've been reading, I've internalized that everything digital may be public, which is so crazy that then this got released public. I say that knowing it's irrational, but my brain can't accept rationale here. So yeah, I've been texting like I'm writing, not like me talking. I didn't realize that until you pointed it out, but I see it. And again, this just makes me sad that like Taylor was upset that Blake was texting her in such a formal way, and Blake was like, truthfully, here's why I'm doing it. And then these get released when she like reverts back to it. On top of that, I'm over packaging simple things because I deeply misunderstood that I don't trust my judgment of myself anymore. That sounds over the top, but it's true. This fucking guy and what he did to me gave me an identity crisis, legitimately. The thing that spooked me most in all of this wasn't the bad guys being bad guys. It was the good guys, my lifelong friends, allies to women who quietly dipped. And so I'm probably being over the top with my friends who stayed because I've never felt more alone. This track is very violin heavy. I hate it. Point is, I'm being a stupid paranoid weirdo and felt it, but didn't know where or how or when. So thank you for telling me and for saying this. I don't need to apologize and for not making it a big deal, but I am sorry to you, and I'm sorry to me and to our kids. Fuck that guy and fuck his whole gaggle of supervillains. You've got enough on you. You don't need to write back to all this. Just letting you know I see it now, and thank you. And I'm excited for you to be done with suitcases, constant sinus infections, and torn up kneecaps. So close. That's crazy talking about the Eras tour. Your submission will be processed shortly, and we thank you for your Patreon. Basically, fuck me. Blake Incorporated. I mean, friendship humor about it. Again, these texts just make me sad that this is kind of like, that her biggest fear was these going public, and then they did go public, you know? So now we're going to start going through these. We have different... how is this relevant to any case? Why did they share it? This is, in my opinion, distraction from Baldoni and wanting Taylor's name and Taylor's private information to be out there for the public to talk about to distract. However, we're covering it and we're not forgetting that his defamation case was thrown out, and the only case here is her sexual harassment, you know, misconduct case. How did Justin get his hands on these? Discovery in court. This is going to be a trialed case, I think, and you can basically request anything Discovery, and if it's approved, then it has to be released. It has to be released. All right, okay, so here we have more messages. All right, so let's go through these. All right. So B is Blake, as we see here, and then sender is Taylor. If you get here with this doofus director of my movie is still here. Oh, wait, so this is, let me figure out the date that this is again. This is 2023. So basically, if you're American, if this is America, what date does this then? Because I think yours is back to front and ours is the other way. Is this the 12th of April? This is April 12th. Okay, so these are from April 12th, 2023. Okay, thank you, because ours are the other way about. So this is Blake saying to Taylor, if you get here with this doofus director of my movie and he's still here, I'll be ushering him out, but hope he's still here. Can you do me a huge favor? I need help with him. Can you tell him you're excited for the movie, that you read the book, but what you're freaking out over is the pages that I sent you. What a magnetic scene that is. Or whatever descriptives you're comfortable with. I'll send you the scene. You don't have to read it, of course. It's a quick read. He's a clown and thinks he's a writer now and got this rewrite and told me he appreciates my passion. That's it. So having the greatest living storyteller unknowingly echo to him how much you love what we're doing, giving him credit as if he wrote them with me, will go such a long way. You dug a movie out of a grave once already for me, and then sends the script. And then Taylor responds and says, I'll do anything for you. Blake says, I love you, thank you. Text me when you're on your way. I'll have Molly meet you in security in garage. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to like be reading this. It's like so invasive. It's so invasive. Taylor said, headed your way. And then she said, I'm on your street. Blake said, see you soon. Sophia headed down now. All right. So then we go on to the next page. This is April 12th again. This is just the part 2. Okay. Blake said, you were so epically heroic today. Is that how you say that? Heroic. It sounds like homoerotic. Heroic. You were so epically heroic today. I recapped every moment to Ryan. I kept remembering stuff. You making shit up about me and lenses and referring to yourself as my doll. This client is falling for it all, but also resisting it. You're the world's absolute greatest friend ever. I won the lottery. Taylor wrote, I won the lottery. You are the coolest person in the world. And you like me. And then Blake responds with this link and this GIF. It's crazy seeing GIFs in like legal. Like it's so deeply unserious. Like if this was me, it would be like a bunch of reaction pictures. It would be a bunch of reaction pictures. They're so millennial. Blake said the most bonkers part. Oh my gosh, she uses the word bonkers. Bonkers. I love that word. The most bonkers part to me is him saying to you he doesn't know pop culture made me more mad than anything he's done to me. His entire brand is disassembling toxic masculinity. He monetizes it. He does TED Talks, but says that to you. Not only is it so rude, but it's untrue. The thing that enraged me is you're in an absolute league of your own in both being the most popular artist alive and one of all time, but also the most respected and awarded. Popularity doesn't normally coincide with laurels. In very few cases, it does. Steven Spielberg, for example, there's one. Do you think for a moment he would have felt comfortable saying that to him, even if he didn't know his work? Which is a great point, by the way. You would never make a point to say to Steven Spielberg about his work that you don't know it because you didn't know pop culture, which is a great point, like undermining someone because they're a woman. Great point here. And again, we are not supposed to have read these texts. So it's like, it makes it even more like crazy to me reading these and being like, oh, this is a great point. And we weren't even supposed to read this. This is like two friends talking back and forth. Blake goes on to say, I've been raging ever since, even though I know it all comes from what you said perfectly. He just so wants to be in the room, but has to act like he doesn't. I see it. I understand that it's opposite day with him. He's so green, he thinks that's what makes him cool enough to fit in, when in fact, it's fucking enthusiasm, fandom, and respect for those killing it that shows you're confident with where you are in life. I've also been raging about the NYU thing. I honestly want to retroactively take you out to dinner to celebrate that. You deserve to be studied. You're a human masterclass. Yes, fuck, they see it. This is about Taylor being awarded at NYU. I've been digging up hatchets. I'll stop now. I love you and R and my babies and get more protective about your hearts and minds sometimes. I'm so much less forgiving when it comes to someone messing with someone I love when someone messes with me. I'm done. I just love you and I'm so ecstatic for you and grateful for you today. That was stupid fun. So that was from April. So now we go on to April 23rd, 2024. So a year later, okay? Let's go through these. So Blake texts Taylor on the 23rd of April, 2024, a year later. I finally gotten to get in the edit. Alone. No Justin. I'm going to make this movie great. In brackets, successful. If it's the last thing that I do. They sent me a trailer. I'd love to know what you think. I can change it. I'm just curious about your reaction as someone who knows pop culture better than anyone. And also as someone who's read the book. Don't be thrown by your song. They went out on a limb and kept it, which is cheating because it imbues everything with such gravity and quality. I'm torn. Obviously, your feelings decide it because Taylor's song was in the trailer. But if you were open to it on one hand, fuck them forever. On another hand, I want this movie to work and your song hits a main artery. Song variables aside, would love to know what you think. Please show Trav too. Would love to know his opinion also. And then sends the trailer, okay? So this was the movie. It ends with us, and Taylor's song was in the trailer. So there we have it from the 23rd of April, a year later, when there's a trailer, okay? Now we go to April 26th. Oh, this has been removed. No worries. Guess we're going to go to May 19th. May 19th. Again, this is an ongoing legal thing, so you will see things being removed, taken down. But we are now going to the 19th of May, 2024, okay? Blake texts, by the way, I have so much to tell you. The author Colleen reached out to me because Justin is on an international smear campaign trying to get his edit through. Now, again, one thing that's crazy to me is that we are not supposed to be seeing these texts, yet everything I'm reading seems like people having an issue behind the scenes with Justin. You know? Yes, Colleen Hoover. She was horrified and reached out on her own to talk to me. Turns out he fucking lied. She's not, how do you say this? Baha'i? She's not bisexual. She's not Baha'i. Never has been. She's not friends with him at all. She actually hates him. She was his safety net all along. Meanwhile, he shut her out and wouldn't include her in anything and told her she had no voice or value, yet paraded her around in front of cameras for goodwill and told us all that his decision was the one that got pushed back on her ideas. Blake goes wild. Blake continues, she flew to New York where I screened my cut for the first time yesterday. It killed in the room. Blake goes on to say, Bradley came. He watched it twice. He's been an absolute fucking hero. He's made me feel so good about the cut. Matt and Lucy Damon saw it to give notes and instead just wrote Tom Rothman to try to push my edit through without a bake-off with Justin, which is also what Colleen is pushing for. It's wild and crazy times. Taylor says, no one should ever get into a war of wills with you. And Taylor says, and I'm so excited to see it. Blake says, anytime if you have free time, I'll send it to you. It's actually a fun watch now. So then we go on to December 4th and December 5th of 2024. Okay? So this was whenever Blake sent that message to Taylor, basically saying, is everything okay with us? And Taylor said, you're not wrong. I've been feeling off with you. Okay? Now, what we didn't see is that Taylor responds and goes, the first paragraph took me out. Blake says, if only I sent you the unplugged version. Blake said, I sent you a voice memo, but it doesn't show on our thread, which is really helping my case of not trusting phones. Did it go through? Taylor said, yes, I'm just falling asleep, but we'll listen tomorrow. Love you. At 2:31 a.m. Damn, these women are up late. Blake said, it's the length of a miniseries. Sleep. Love you. And then Taylor texts at 3:15 on the next day, I think this bitch knows something is coming because he's gotten his tiny violin out. Now again, tiny violin Taylor has in canceled. Where is it? God, there's so many ads. Jesus Christ. Or bring a tiny violin to a knife fight. Baby, it ends tonight. Good thing I like my friends canceled. That is crazy to me. We have gotten confirmation that canceled is about Blake Lively. So Taylor said, I think this bitch knows something is coming because he's gotten out his tiny violin. And then sends this People article. It's crazy to me, like Taylor Swift having a having an Instagram and being able to send like screenshots. You know what I mean? Justin Baldoni reveals he was sexually traumatized by an ex-girlfriend when he was hoping to save myself for marriage. Blake says, it rings different when he doesn't end the story by saying, did I always listen when they said no? No. Like he did with me. But that must have not tested well in the focus group. Which is crazy as well, that in unsealed private messages, we still have Blake having the exact same narrative about Justin Baldoni in private messages to Taylor Swift that I promise you she never thought was going to be released. Because the conversation a day before that was Taylor basically saying, you're talking to me like you're talking to a bunch of people. And Blake was like, I'm scared these are going to get leaked. Okay, I'm going to pull back on that now. Something to note. Something to fucking note. You know what I mean? Blake said he's being honored at the Vital Voices for Women event on Monday. Taylor said, this is so disgusting and I hate that he's so clever about this shit. Blake said, this inspiring event celebrates men who are using their platforms, influence, and leadership to elevate women, combat gender-based violence, and promote gender equality worldwide. Taylor said, well, not him. Her. Blake said, he's not. He just has a team. Yeah, her. And his publicist, Jennifer Abel. Blake said, and the comms people at his studio. Taylor said, he needs to be beaten by his own words. Blake said, everyone weighs in before we respond to a text, writes an email, or trims his hair. It's wild. Everyone participates. Yeah, I actually think it's important he's honored. And to all the people honoring him and not taking a moment to question, no one talks to him. No one will say his name. No one follows him. Yet they're all so close to each other. Maybe it was him. Nah, it was all the women because they wore flyers. That's how you know. Taylor writes, Jesus Christ. Is everything still on track? Blake says, oh yes. A week later though, but worth the wait. Taylor says, okay, that's perfect. Taylor says his own words, that's going to be powerful. I assume, was this the lawsuit? Blake's original lawsuit? Blake said, that's what's wild about this entire thing. Everything is in their own words. Taylor said, it's the only way to beat liars and hypocrites. Blake said, can you imagine feeling as confident as these predators that you're going to always get away with it? Him accepting an award as an ally for women and Scooter going, oh my God, Scooter Braun? Oh my God. Oh my God, Scooter Braun. If you know Taylor Swift lore. Whoa. Whoa. No wonder Taylor wrote cancelled. Scooter Braun and Justin Baldoni are friends? And Scooter going about the world with his head held high as he co-owns and funds a crisis PR company that silences women. Taylor said, it's like a horror film that no one knows is taking place. Blake said, oh, but they will. It's the only thing that can come from this. The good that protects other women from this happening to them. Why do people have a problem with these texts? Number one, these texts are supposed to be private. And number two, everything that I'm reading here is actually making me feel incredibly favorable towards number one, Blake Lively, and number two, Taylor Swift. You want to read my text? Whoo! You don't want to read my text? This has caused a social media outrage of how evil and planning and manipulative Blake and Taylor are. I hope you never go through my texts. Are we serious? All I'm seeing here is how much actually Taylor and Blake are committed to protecting women. Goodness me. Fucking hell. The good that protects other women, and that's what I need to come from this. Meanwhile, I walk around feeling death sentence guilty and apologetic for being sarcastic and liking a theme party. All right. So now we go on to our final text, which is December 21st, 2024. So these are the final texts that have been released. So again, December 21st, 2024. Taylor texts at 7:20 to Blake and says, you won. You did it. And Roy Orbison, who, let's figure out who you are. Is it him? Oh. I don't think it's you. I don't think it's you. Something's telling me it's not you. I don't think they were talking to a Ouija board, honey. Okay, who is this? Is this a friend? Is this a lawyer? It might be their friend Ashley. Oh, so this is just a code name then. All right. Anyways, we'll just read what Roy Orbison said from the grave. It's turning, and then Taylor sends a couple of images and also this article right here. And it says, Justin Baldoni dropped WME Blake Lively sexual harassment complaint. So I think this was Blake's original filing. This was the original filing, okay? So Taylor said, you won. You did it. And this person says, it's turning. Taylor sends the article with a bunch of photos. Taylor said, and you fucking helped so many people who won't have to go through this again. Oh, Roy is Blake? Oh, Roy is Blake. Oh. Oh, no, this is Blake. This is Blake. Blake's here. Dude, I think we genuinely got a Ouija board here. It's the lawyer. People are saying it's the lawyer. Okay, wait. Okay, so Roy is Ashley. And Onika is Burgers. Like, and who the fuck is Madeline? Anyways. No, I love these next texts from Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift texts Blake Lively and says, never has a cancellation been reversed so fast about Blake Lively. You guys don't understand how rare this is. Dude, I am so obsessed with the fact that Taylor Swift texts like this. Never has a cancellation been reversed so quick. You guys don't understand how rare this is. Like, I'm so obsessed with the Taylor Swift texts exactly like how we talk. Like, these texts leaking have made Taylor Swift more likable to me. Like, no wonder she wrote the song Cancelled. Never has a cancellation been reversed so fast. You guys don't understand how rare this is. This is so rare. They've never seen a cancellation reversed so fast. Like, it's so funny. Like, I don't know how y'all are hating on them for these texts. These texts are... But anyways, yeah, because Blake Lively was getting so much backlash, and Taylor's like, this is being reversed. People like you again. Well, it's not that easy, but Taylor said to have proof and to take the perfect steps to bring that truth into the light. Ash. Okay, so Roy Orbison is Ash. Ash equal Roy, Roy equal Burgers, Burgers equal Onika. So this person is actually called Ash then. So Taylor said to have proof and take the perfect steps to bring that truth into light. Blake says, Ash, like, my God, I love you so much. I would not be okay through any of this if it weren't for you. Taylor said, can you believe she just called and was like, this PR chick wants to get info to Blake? That means the world. Blake said, it changed my life. Now, there we have it. Those are all of the released unsealed texts from Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. And again, the reason I wanted to talk about this was because so many people were, I'm confused as to how she helped anyone by doing this. By speaking out against someone who had control over her in this movie set, who she is saying was sexually harassing her and creating a hostile work environment and retaliation for her speaking out. Basically, that speaking out about that can have have a knock-on effect for other women specifically to be able to speak out. Speaking out about harassment in the workplace will only be beneficial. But anyways, the reason that I breaking my silence on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is because y'all have gone too far. I am seeing YouTube channels with bajillion views. Taylor Swift text leaked, evil woman, master plan. Hello? Crazy. But it's all a lie. He never did that. Well, you know what, babe? Number one, you weren't there. I weren't there. And his defamation lawsuit in retaliation was completely thrown out on a federal level. So I guess neither of us will know because her lawsuit is still going ahead for it. So you don't know enough to comment that, and I don't know enough to comment in response to that. I guess we'll see at the trial. But anyways, because I was like seeing the response to this, and I was like, you guys are really like, Taylor Swift is evil, calculated, manipulative, like, grow up. I have texted much worse things than this, and I'm sure you have too. And again, these texts are only released because I can only assume that Baldoni's team, because they're trying to get Blake's lawsuit thrown out, because again, keep in mind, his already was, they're trying to get all distractions possible. I read these, and if anything, it just kind of makes me like Blake Lively and make me like Taylor Swift. And keep in mind, before this, I had zero opinion on this. And you know what? I would hope that I would have a friend like Taylor Swift who would back me up in all these things. You know what I mean? Please. All right. We will leave it there. For now. I will update you if anything that I feel the need to comment on significant happens in relation to this. But again, I have chosen not to cover things like this because I feel it's highly inappropriate, and I feel that the milking of situations that ironically are about women going on trial, talking about being sexually harassed or in any way used by a man, I feel like it's inappropriate to make content on that. I feel like I learned my lesson whenever I was covering Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, that it feels just really weird to be making content on that. The same way I feel kind of weirded out by true crime commentary, I feel kind of weirded out by this as well. I'm specifically making a choice to really not make content on this. But with this, I felt the need to comment on it because of Taylor Swift. And also, really? Y'all are this pissed about this? Nah. We will leave it there for now. I hope you're all doing well, and goodbye.